Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Look, today we are digging into a literal turning point in the digital asset space. We are, finally, waving goodbye to all that speculative hype and saying a huge hello to active back-end financial infrastructure. We're not talking about what blockchain might do in 10 years. No, we're talking about what it is doing right this second. So let's jump right in.
For years, we talked about blockchain in the future tense, right? Assets would move on-chain, or stablecoins would become payment rails. Well, if you look at this week's data, that language has firmly shifted to the present tense. It is happening now. The tech isn't some backstage experiment waiting for its cue anymore. It is live, it is working infrastructure.
To really wrap our heads around this shift, we're going to take a quick infrastructure tour today. We'll cover how the future is becoming the present, Wall Street testing the plumbing, invisible corporate settlement, the rise of autonomous commerce, scale, and the rulebook, and finally, prioritizing utility over noise.
Okay, Section 1. Wall Street tests the plumbing. Institutional tokenization.
Right now, major traditional institutions aren't just minting flashy tokens to get some headlines. They are rigorously testing the literal pipes of modern finance. Just look at this. The DTCC, the Depository Trust Company, confirmed that over 30 heavy hitters, we're talking BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citadel, they are all running actual real production exercises. They're moving collateral and executing repo settlements entirely across blockchain infrastructure.
So the obvious question here is why? Why do they care? Well, they're asking, can collateral move faster? Can margin requirements be met more efficiently? They basically want to see if tokenized assets can handle heavy-duty market functions without needing human manual checks and, endless layers of reconciliation. Because ultimately, the absolute best infrastructure is invisible. It just works. And that makes the everyday financial system vastly cheaper and more reliable for all of us.
And, it's not just the legacy players doing this. Over in Abu Dhabi, Coinbase just secured a regulatory license to build out an international tokenization hub. They're actually combining blockchain settlement with strict legal frameworks that cover custody, identity, redemption, and transfer rules. This is absolutely crucial because it perfectly connects a digital record directly to real-world asset rights.
I think this brilliantly illustrates how the entire business model of crypto is evolving. The old playbook was pretty basic, right? List assets, attract volume, charge some fees. But today, revenue is the new hype. Exchanges are literally transforming into full-stack financial operating layers, meaning they handle everything from A to Z. Coinbase, for instance, is processing over 100,000 orders a second, all while offering deep, institutional-grade liquidity right under one roof.
Let's move on to Section 2, Invisible Corporate Settlement, Main Street Operations.
I love this quote. A company does not need to market itself as a crypto company to use blockchain infrastructure. That captures the exact essence of true adoption. Just this week, a payment tech firm called Decta used digital asset rails via a platform called OpenPaid to move corporate funds internationally. It's not some flashy consumer crypto app, it's just a vastly superior, much faster way for them to run their back office.
And this invisible infrastructure? It's largely being powered by stablecoins. They're operating quietly behind the scenes to solve incredibly practical, boring but important problems. Look, everyday businesses, they don't care about crypto philosophy. They just want to know how quickly can value move and how resilient are these rails. Stablecoins are answering those questions and making global business reconciliation totally seamless.
Corporate treasury management is also getting highly sophisticated right now. Take the firm's strategy. As of early August, they're managing over 840,000 Bitcoin alongside a massive $4.65 billion cash reserve. But here's the kicker. They aren't just passively holding on for dear life. They actively sold Bitcoin and repurchased shares to meet corporate obligations. It completely proves that a digital asset treasury is a complex, active system of liquidity requirements and operating rules.
All right, let's switch gears a bit for Section 3, the rise of autonomous commerce, the AI economy. Okay, this might sound straight out of sci-fi, but software is officially becoming an active economic participant. Enter the X402 machine-to-machine payment standard. Coinbase Business just announced their checkout infrastructure can now accept USDC payments initiated entirely by AI agents. Seriously, imagine an AI autonomously buying computing power, or paying for data, or renting an API without a human ever clicking approve. Honestly, at this point, AI agents probably have better managed wallets than most of us do.
But obviously, giving software a wallet introduces massive new responsibilities.
An AI that can spend money is a cool party trick for sure, but an AI that operates within transparent, enforceable boundaries, that's revolutionary. Suddenly, we need strict limits on permissions, we need rigid wallet controls, clear identity rules, and a perfectly auditable history for every single automated action. We need all of this just so we can actually trust these systems to act on our behalf.
Which brings us to Section 4, Scale and the Rulebook, Permissionless Markets.
So, while institutions and AI are building these highly structured systems, we absolutely cannot ignore the undeniable, massive scale of decentralized, community-driven ecosystems. $10.03 million. That is the amount of protocol fees, which are basically the user transaction costs paid to the network, generated by the Solana-based platform Pump.fun in a single week. 1 week, it handled nearly $3 billion in trading volume, all entirely driven by permissionless grassroots participation.
This wild explosion of meme liquidity proves that enormous economic activity can form instantly around internet culture and frictionless creation. It spread like wildfire. But it also underscores a really critical lesson for Web3. As these platforms scale to billions in volume, they desperately need explainable economics. Launching mechanics have to be understandable, and asset allocations must be fully visible to everyday users, because permissionless does not have to mean structureless.
And of course, all of this, the institutional plumbing, the AI payments, the massive meme liquidity, it's all advancing in this highly unusual environment where the regulatory rulebook is still literally being negotiated. The U.S. Senate is working on the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, and the SEC Crypto Task Force is actively meeting with market participants. It's like building the plane while flying it. The infrastructure of tomorrow is being built today, while the rules governing it are still completely in draft mode.
Finally, Section 5. Utility over noise. The KINGFINITY perspective.
So, how do we actually make sense of all these simultaneous massive developments? Well, it really comes down to trusting verifiable systems based on 3 core tenets. First, visible utility. You have to actually see what an ecosystem does. Second, explainable architecture. Transparency should describe the system controls, not just bank balances. And third, understandable participation. The tech needs to solve a real, identifiable problem, not just exist because someone figured out how to mint a new token.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a crucial question to think about as you navigate this highly operational new landscape. Which ecosystems can turn participation into utility, technology into infrastructure, and transparency into something people can actually verify? It is a highly demanding standard, for sure. But honestly, it's the only one that will define the true winners in the next phase of our financial evolution. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep learning.